Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to Nooga Radio 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to take a little ride in the time machine, right? We're going to a time when Missouri thinks it's good enough to win an SEC title. We're going to a time when Tiger Woods is actually in a golf tournament at Torrey Pines and not stinking up the joint. We're going to a time when the XFL exists. Only we're not going back in time. We're going to today. We're going to today. It's all happening. So we're going to get there. But we do have some local stories to get to. We've got a couple of all-stars here in Chattanooga. Right? We have two Hamilton Heights players participating in the McDonald's All-American game. Two girls from the Hamilton Heights girls basketball team who are going to be participating in this game. Jasmine Massengill, who signed with Tennessee back in November. She is actually ranked the sixth highest guard in the nation. And so that's going to be exciting. And also her teammate has made the game, Elizabeth Belogan. And Elizabeth, what's interesting about this is that Elizabeth and Jasmine are actually going to be playing on different teams. Elizabeth is going to be on the West team. Jasmine's going to be on the East team. I noticed that no one else on the roster of players is separated from their teammates in this fashion. But I imagine that this is partially the curse of being in Tennessee. You are in the middle of the metropolitan areas of the West and the metropolitan areas of the East Coast. And in order to balance out the teams, you separated two teammates. And so I think that that's going to be a little bit fun. I imagine that both of these girls are going to have some fun time playing against each other. The McDonald's All-American game, of course, is a very prestigious game. If you find yourself in the McDonald's All-American game, it is incredibly likely that you're going to be playing in the NBA if you're a boy, or the WNBA if you're a woman. Jasmine Massengill, by the way, again, really, really highly recruited player. She'll be at the University of Tennessee. Elizabeth Logan has committed to Georgia Tech University. So we have a couple of all-stars in the area, which I think is exciting. Also, at UTC, Tom Arth has expanded. He's added to the staff. Davern Williams will be joining the UTC football staff for the 2018 season as defensive line coach. Williams spent the last 4 of his seasons coaching at East Mississippi Community College, and they won 2 championships during that time and had a record of 42-3, which I think, again, speaks very highly of what he's been able to do, because the winning seemed to start, and I understand that this is, by the way, a very hard thing to gauge. This is very difficult to judge, but the winning seemed to start at East Mississippi Community College when he showed up. So I understand that you might have some trepidation going, well, how good is this guy really? Good enough to make a difference. And I think that if you are the Mocs, that is something that you struggled with last year on defensive lines, especially stopping the run, which I think that they're going to need to do a much better job of. I expect that they will. Tom Arth, after year 1 as a football coach, I mean, you're going to have a down year because you're changing systems, you're changing styles. You've got to get your guys in there. And there's a certain level of patience that you have with a guy like that when he is just coming in and he's getting his staff around him and he's getting his players together. So, yes, I'm excited to see what it is that Chattanooga is going to look like so far as a defensive football team this year and what adjustments Tom Arth is going to make. I do expect them to be better, right? And by the way, just as an aside, I feel the same way about basketball. I feel the same way with Lamont Paris. You're in here. I know the Mocs just won their first conference game last night against the Samford Bulldogs, beating them 78-71. It was a thrilling game, one that shouldn't have been as close as it was. The Mocs were up by like 20, and they just nearly blew the whole thing away. But they did hang on to win. They broke that incredibly long losing streak that they had a bunch of close games in, by the way. And so, yeah, you're just going to have to forgive some of the growing pains of having a new coach with players that maybe he didn't necessarily recruit and having to work and fit all of these pieces together. But back to football, I look forward to what the Mocs are going to be able to do. And I look forward especially to what it is that they're going to be able to do in terms of work on the defensive line, stopping the run. It was a big problem for them last year. Adding Davern Williams to this staff can do nothing but help. And, of course, University of Georgia, they lost their special teams coach, Shane Beamer, to Oklahoma, which I should point out is the big deal because Georgia had great special teams last year, right? Like, we want to give a lot of credit to the offense, and we should. Nick Chubb and Sony Michel were absolutely lights out all season long. You want to give a lot of credit to Jake Fromm, and actually you want to give a lot of credit to that defense as well and what Kirby Smart was able to do with them. But it can't be understated how much special teams helped Georgia make their national title run, that they got to that game. In large part because when they beat Oklahoma, they blocked a kick. Right? They had a number of big plays throughout the year that were special teams plays. They had a number of big-time kicks made by their kicker Blankenship. Again, a lot of this is special teams, and special teams is the hidden child in the room when it comes to football because you wind up overlooking it at your own peril. You don't notice when it's bad until it's not there. Right? When your special teams is garbage, you know. When it's good, you have a tendency to act like it's not there. Like, we expect all of these things to work out. So I don't know how Georgia is going to replace Shane Beamer because the special teams unit did improve under him when he joined Kirby Smart's staff in 2016. I don't know how they're going to replace him. But Beamer, when he goes to Oklahoma, well, by the way, in addition to coaching special teams, will coach the halfbacks and the tight ends over there. So that's pretty interesting. They've got this man on double duty. Yeah, I coach a little bit of offense too. Okay. Shane Beamer, by the way, son of Frank Beamer from Virginia Tech in the late 1990s. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM. And I don't understand where this confidence is coming from Missouri because they believe that they can play for an SEC championship or a national championship. But it's not just anybody saying this. This is quarterback Drew Lock on the Paul Feinbaum show. Now, there are two levels to this, right? One, Drew Lock is the quarterback of the football team. If anybody is supposed to believe that you can play for a national title, it's him, right? Like, that's the guy you want walking with all the confidence. And if anybody is going to challenge his teammates to do better and play better and reach for the highest goal that they can reach for, you want it to be your quarterback. And look, I think Drew Lock is incredible. I really do. I think he opened the season last year with 6 touchdowns in the first game. He just threw 6 touchdown passes just off the rip. I think Drew Lock is incredible. And throughout the SEC season, he was arguably my favorite quarterback for much of the season. He was. But also, I like it when people are realistic. Right? I'm not saying he should go out there and say that they can't win. But if you go call a national title, I hope there's a very good reason as to why that is. Right? Why would that be? Now, you're in Missouri, you're in the SEC East for whatever reason, right? Because we all know you're further west than Auburn, let's say. But for whatever reason, you're in the SEC East. That's fine. I'm not here to teach geography. That's not my job. So I was looking at it and I'm going, of all the teams that are going to have to be able to stand up to Georgia, you would have to say Missouri would have to be one of the teams, right? Because that's where you start to get to when you win the division. Everyone starts coming after you, right? Chattanooga Eels are going to learn that lesson this season. You win a lot, people are going to start coming after you. They're going to put you on the bulletin board. Georgia won the division. Well, it's not going to be so easy next year. And you've already got teams calling their shot on you. And Missouri is one of the teams in the East that can do it, to be fair, if anyone in the division could do it, right? I think Kentucky is probably one of the other teams, too, if you believe that. But both of those teams suffer from the one thing that makes me believe they can't win the East, they can't win the SEC, and they're certainly not playing for a national title. You know what that is? That's a defense. When I watched Missouri play last year, and they are an improved defense from what they were even 2 years ago, but they're still not good. When I watched Missouri play last year, it was like watching basketball on grass. Like they did not defend anybody. And you saw scores in the 50s and the 60s. What national title could you win with that? Right? Like Oklahoma last year, they were the only team I thought with a bad defense that could win it. And Oklahoma's defense really wasn't that bad. It was just not as good as any of the other title contenders. Missouri's defense might be legitimately an awful defense. And I wouldn't say that Kentucky's defense is an awful defense either. I would say that it greatly underachieves, though. For sure. I like realism, is all I'm saying. I do like the idea that you want to aim for this stuff, though, because what's your option, right? Like another 7-win season? Nobody's happy with that. Like, is anybody truly and honestly happy after 7 wins? And then you get pummeled in the bowl game, which is yet another reason why I don't believe Missouri can go on and win a national title, is you all could not handle Texas, who is about as erratic an offensive team as there could possibly be. About as erratic as possible. You could not handle Texas. How are you handling Georgia? What's the plan there? You could not handle Texas. How are you going to handle Florida if Florida makes the kind of leaps under Dan Mullen that they want to? How's that happening? What's the plan? I don't think there's a plan there. I like the confidence. I do. But man, there's a certain level of realism that I like players to have. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio, noogaradio.com, 92.7 FM. Vince McMahon is trying to revive the XFL. And I say trying to. My man is reviving the XFL. Now, I don't know how long it lasts once he does it. I don't know what kind of attention draw or buzz it will get. But he is trying to bring the XFL back. And he is looking for anybody with talent to play. And there are 3 quarterbacks who have talent who are notably not doing anything at the current moment, right? And those 3 people are, if you could believe this at all, Colin Kaepernick, Tim Tebow, and Johnny Manziel. Now, Johnny Manziel's not surprising, because Johnny Manziel in the XFL makes a ton of sense. The XFL is about, well, that's like the WWE, but football, right? Like the XFL is about swagger. It's about bad boys. It's about being good on the field and bad off the field. You know what I mean? Like that's what the XFL is about, right? You've got the nicknames, right? Like Johnny Manziel would be a perfect fit for the league. And if Vince McMahon started the league, he would love to have Johnny Manziel in the league, right? I heard Tim Tebow's name being knocked around, which I thought was a little interesting. I thought it was actually very interesting because, you know, Tim Tebow's the antithesis of what the XFL is, right? Like Tim Tebow is a nice guy. He's a good person. He's a Christian. He's a little bit of a diva. He's got that in the DNA. Tim Tebow wants to be very well liked. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, that doesn't make you a bad person. I'm just saying, it's in there. It's in his DNA. Tim Tebow, little bit of the diva mentality. Because if Tim Tebow wanted to be in the NFL, he would still be in the NFL. He wouldn't be a quarterback. You have to give that one up. But if he wanted to be in the NFL, he could still be a little bit of a diva. Didn't want to give it up. Which is fine, right? Moved on. Went to go play baseball. Vince McMahon wanting Tim Tebow, wanting Johnny Manziel, 2 human beings who could not be, as far as ideologically, could not be further apart at all. And then, of course, to make it absolutely ridiculous, Vince McMahon, when asked about Colin Cowherd in the XFL, said, why not? Why not? Because Vince McMahon understands what all of this is, and he understands it at an inherent level. This is about the spectacle, man. Kaepernick, yeah. Manziel, sure. Tebow, bring it on. This is about the spectacle for that guy. He is just... It's like, and by the way, none of these guys have actually agreed. This is the best part about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon has more confidence than you and everyone you know put together. Vince McMahon has not actually asked any of these people to play in the league. He's simply saying you can, because he's pretty sure they will. Right? But that's how you know Vince McMahon has more confidence than you. I'm not saying it's a great thing even for us to have that level of confidence. Now, the XFL would not be rebooted until 2020. Okay, so we're getting a little old for Mr. Tebow, right? Because I don't know off the top of my head how old Tim Tebow is, but Tim Tebow ought to be, at that point, nearing the end of his prime athletically, you would think in 2020. Okay, that's 2 years from now. If Vince McMahon brings back the XFL in 2020, yeah, Kaepernick will still be young. Yeah, Manziel will still be young. Tim Tebow's going to be a little older. But they're all invited to play. And I'm okay with it. There's more sports to talk about. And I don't know about you, but I think that the way that we are now, and the way that we're all plugged into social media, and the way that we're all plugged into everything that everybody's saying, and we have TMZ, and they cover every ridiculous off-the-field thing, I think that the world is more ready for the XFL now than it was originally. Yeah. I think we are. Right? Because pro wrestling is acting, though. Like, it's not real in the way that most sports are real. Right? I'm talking about WWE, WWF, which has existed forever. But professional wrestling cannot... Look, you can't get any more for pro wrestling than the XFL, except you have the randomness of live sports. And it does very much feel random. Right? That to me is the element there that pro wrestling is missing. But if pro wrestling could bottle whatever randomness it is that most sports have, like, yeah, it'd be wildly successful too. Everyone wants that level of drama, right? Like, there's a certain level of success that people who use social media scandalously have acquired. Because that's our nation. Right? You got the president. He says salacious stuff all the time. You've got the Kardashian empire, which was essentially built off of a sex tape. You have all of these things because that's our culture now. We like scandalous. We like salacious. We like ridiculous. We like over the top. That's what we want. That's where we are. And we were not necessarily that far down the rabbit hole the first time we had the XFL. We're more ready now for the XFL than we ever have been. Like, if the XFL doesn't work under the circumstances of modern America, like, it's never going to work. I feel very confident in saying that. This is the most XFL ready our nation has ever been. Because we just like ridiculous stuff. And what is more ridiculous than a league that praises off the field antics? Everyone gets a nickname, a cool one. Right? He hate me. You remember that one? Right? Like, I hope you also remember he ate me. The big That quarterback that was in the league. I remember him. We've never been more ready for this. Right? And I don't think that, I don't know if Vince McMahon's going to try and schedule things to go in the summer to try and not compete with the NFL. But if Vince McMahon wants to try and compete with the NFL head-to-head, like, this is the time to do it. This is absolutely the time to do it. You're listening to Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, plus with Keon Rose. And we're going to talk a little golf. Tiger Woods is back, and he ain't looking bad. Next.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Chattanooga, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Whitwell schools are back open, but the search is still on for robbery suspect Dwayne Halfacre, who's been added to the TBI's top 10 most wanted list. The Tennessee Highway Patrol and the TBI still searching for him. He was last spotted in a parking lot in Marion County. A large police presence at Marion County schools just in case he shows up. $1 million a bullet. That's what one Hamilton County family is asking for after the death of Christopher Dalton Sexton. He was gunned down after a car chase in Saudi Daisy. Mr. Sexton is said to have exited his car to move away from deputies. The lawsuit says he had his back turned when deputies opened fire, hitting him in the legs, the back, and the head. They're suing the county and the specific deputies involved for $40 million. Another sting at College Hill courts on Monday. 129 grams of marijuana, 6 grams of crack cocaine recovered. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Plus and Val, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Oh, man, rush. I've got to get stuff for the party. Where can I go? It's going to give me a wide selection of beer, wines, and spirits. Oh, I've got it. I'll go to Harry's Wine and Spirits, Signal Mountain. Maybe East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd. I could go to Riley's Wines and Spirits in Hickson. Wow, look at the huge selection in here. Look at these great prices. Amazing. Oh, yeah, I'm going to find something for my lady, too. I'm going to make this party a success.
Make your party a success when you stop in at Harry's Wine and Spirits in Signal Mountain, East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd, and Riley's Wine and Spirits in Hickston. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room game and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted, you have to call this number. Don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records. So why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop and call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888. That's 706-858-5888. Affordable Computers.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight lows, mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north, though. Light cold high, it's still around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland Fireworks, locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Cat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixie. Dixieland Fireworks, just off I-75 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm George Noory, Chief Meteorologist at 3 or 4.
Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News, NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. The show is Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. If that's not obvious already. So, Tiger Woods is, Tiger Woods is back. Now, the question that you always have to answer when you talk about Tiger Woods being back is Tiger Woods back or is Tiger Woods back? Right? Because there's two different things, right? Is he physically playing golf? Well, yes. Is he playing golf like we remember Tiger Woods to play golf? And that is a different question. Now, Tiger Woods playing at Torrey Pines, round 1 today is in the books. He finished even, okay, which puts him 7 back of the leader, American Tim Fano. And he looked okay, right? Like, he looked pretty good. Tiger Woods, 3 birdies, 3 bogeys, a lot of pars, and almost a hole in one on the 16th hole, actually. So you ended up with a lot of mixed Tiger. Right? I want to know if there's going to be a point in this PGA season where he's got it all together and he starts to look like the Tiger that we recognize. A conversation that we do like every year. Right? Tiger Woods gets injured every year somewhere in his lower back. He has the surgery. He does the rehab, and then he comes back. And the question is, always, every single time, is Tiger Woods back or is Tiger Woods back? I don't know. But you have to have the conversation, like every time. It's not one of those things that gets to be particularly optional. That's how great he was. Right? Like there's a certain level that you achieve where we just wonder about you just on the basis of your greatness. Right? Like we talk about Steve Jobs as a guy. Like it's not like every iPhone was great. It's not like every MacBook was fantastic. But you just talk about Steve Jobs all the time because on the basis of how great he was and how successful he was. It's that. We talk about Tiger almost essentially on the basis of we know that guy was great. Is it still in there somewhere? And you know why? Because we all have FOMO. We all have fear of missing out. Nobody wants to be the person that finally decided to sleep on Tiger Woods when he finally shows up, if he ever shows up. Right? Like that. Nobody wants to be that person. So you kind of just sit in the middle. Like, how did Tiger Woods do today? Oh, he finished even. Okay. This isn't proof that he's back. But if you remember a couple of years ago, Tiger Woods would show up the first round of the tournament or the second round of the tournament. He doesn't make the cut. He holds his back. He goes home. He does this maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Then he's done for the year. He's having another back surgery. Now, from what I understand and what I've been told, Tiger Woods has worked on his swing. He's tried to make it more like what it used to be because Tiger Woods has evolved his swing throughout his entire career. Just constantly. And he's bulked up, right? There was a point in Tiger Woods' career where Tiger Woods was pretty big guy. He looked like a safety almost, actually. He was just huge because he would just hit the gym constantly. And a lot of people thought that maybe that's the worst thing that Tiger Woods could ever have done for his career because his flexibility is what gave him a big advantage in driving the ball far. Well, Tiger Woods has to return to form now putting. And the reason why he has to return to form now putting is everybody drives the ball far. Like when Tiger Woods was originally doing it, he was an anomaly. There wasn't anybody that had the distance and the length in their game that he had when he did it. Now you pretty much have to win if you're Tiger Woods in the same way that Jordan Spieth does, because Jordan Spieth doesn't have length in his game. I don't know if you've noticed. All of these long courses, Jordan Spieth is out. Can't do it. Right? Like, he does well on a lot of these classic courses because it's not about length. The place where we had the U.S. Open this past year in Wisconsin, that Jordan Spieth's name was nowhere near the top of that leaderboard. And the reason why is because the guy doesn't have distance, but he putts. He's a genius at putting. And I would say that Tiger Woods was the original genius at putting of this group of golfers. But he's gotten away from that. He got away from that when he had distance to his game. And it almost reminds you of a baseball player that he loses a lot when he starts going for home runs. You know, like, he loses a lot of his ability to hit the ball in play, to just get singles and doubles. He loses that because he's swinging for home runs. Like, there are guys that just fall in love with the home run. And you've seen it happen with a lot of people. It happened to Barry Bonds even. I mean, he was successful with it because he's Barry Bonds. But you start hunting for it. Or a guy like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is one of the most fundamentally sound boxers that ever lived. And once Mike Tyson started to get a taste of knockouts, he started hunting for knockouts. So that's where you get old Mike Tyson, who looked bad, couldn't hit anything, quit on a stool, because he was hunting for knockouts and he wasn't defensively sound and he wasn't fundamentally sound like he was at the beginning of his career. That's what we started to see with Tiger Woods. It happens to everybody. He started to play the game for length. He started to play the game for distance. And I think that in doing, he lost a lot of his short game and he lost a lot of that side of the game that made him great. And now that everybody can hit for length pretty much, and everybody can hit for distance, the only thing that's going to separate you is the short game. That's all there is. So we'll see. But he's not off to a bad start at Torrey Pines. He did putt well today. He had 3 birdies, but he also had 3 bogeys. And you can't have that if you're going to try and make a comeback. You've got an incredibly competitive field this year. Right? You've got an incredibly competitive group of guys. And I am excited to see what the golf season has. But I don't know. For me, I'm one of those guys, I always feel hurt every single time that Tiger Woods is not good. Like, every single time he's not good, I feel actually wounded, because Tiger Woods is the reason that I watch golf. I watch golf just to watch it because I actually like it. But I originally started to watch golf because Tiger Woods was great. Tiger Woods was thrilling. Tiger Woods was fun. You're listening to Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. And we're looking for the #1 recruiting class in college football. We're looking for them because we're getting closer and closer to National Signing Day. And it's a 3-team race to see who gets to be #1. It looks like it's going to be Georgia. Right? It looks like it's possibly going to be Georgia. But Alabama's obviously always in it to have the #1 recruiting class in the nation, and the team that we seem to forget about fairly often because they do underachieve, Ohio State. Urban Meyer and Ohio State. They underachieve, but Urban Meyer is possibly one of the great recruiters out there doing it. And this is going to be important because I can't think of any 2 leagues more competitive than the Big Ten and the SEC, right? Like, the Big 12 is not really competitive. Oklahoma runs that show. Is the ACC actually competitive? I think we saw a lot out of Miami, and obviously Clemson is good. Who else? Not really impressed by anybody else in the ACC. It's not really all that competitive. The Big 12 is absolutely not competitive in any sense of the word, as I mentioned before, and neither is the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is not competitive. And not only is it not competitive, it's not really good either, right? Like, the best team in the Pac-12 to me is USC, That was in large part because they had Darnold. And USC wasn't great. So what are we holding on to our hats there for? Yeah, it's the Big Ten, it's the SEC. And I think that our national title winner next year is coming out of one of those places. So if Ohio State can get a leg up and continue to hold off Michigan, that I think will get better. And Michigan State, who will obviously bounce back. And hold off Penn State, who will continue to get better and better. Even though I wonder how they're going to fill the loss of Saquon Barkley. I still look at it and go, yeah, those two leagues hold the key to who is going to ultimately be the national title winner in college football. Right? Because, like, I think it's safe to say that Clemson will still be around. I think it's safe to say that Oklahoma will still be around. But those two teams do not come from the most competitive leagues. So this hunt here for number one, especially if you can get yourself, in the case of Alabama and in the case of Ohio State, a premier offensive talent. Because if you're Alabama, you've confirmed that Tua Tagovailoa can play. I think he's ultimately the starter next season. I don't think they just hand it to him. Because Jalen Hurts had been good. Okay, guy was 26 into a starter. But I do look at Tua and go, yeah, he's more prototypical. He's more of what Nick Saban wants, and he does it at a very, very high level. That being said, Alabama's always closing on defense, right? Like their top targets, even if you look at the top 5 stars that are in their sights, they're all corners. You look at the top targets that are in Ohio State's sights, it's an offensive tackle. You know what I mean? Like it's always defense with Alabama. As I mentioned yesterday, I don't think Nick Saban really cares that much about offense. I think Nick Saban fields an offense because you have to. If Nick Saban could win games with just defense, I think he'd try. But if you're Kirby Smart and you're Georgia, you've got a whole lot to build on. They're probably going to wind up with the number 1 recruiting class, but I'm just saying, don't overlook Alabama and don't overlook Urban Meyer in Ohio State. You're listening to Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM Clutch with Keon Rose, and I'm going to shift gears, I think, for the last time, because I have to talk about All-Star games. All-Star games annoy me on a fundamental level, and the reason why they annoy me is because nobody is out here trying in All-Star games. Ever, at all. Nobody tries. So the Pro Bowl is going to be this weekend. I'm not watching the Pro Bowl. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in 5 years. I think 5 years ago, I was half asleep. Right? I remember exactly what I did too. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and ate a bunch of wings. And I was very tired. I had the itis. I was at home and I was just channel surfing. And the Pro Bowl was on and I accidentally watched it. That's how I ended up watching the Pro Bowl. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in 5 years. Now, last year, I watched on YouTube the skills challenge that they had. I thought the skills challenge was cool. I think anytime you have a skills challenge or an extra game, like the NBA's got the Rising Stars Challenge. I like those. Those are fun. I find that people generally tend to try for those because you keep someone very much isolated, and now you're playing for pride, right? So the skills challenge, quarterbacks don't want to look stupid in front of everybody. There's no quarterback that wants to stand there and look wildly erratic. Right? No wide receiver wants to look like they have no hands in a skills challenge. There is no running back that doesn't want to make everyone realize their power and their cutting ability. Right? Like everybody wants to look good in a skills challenge. Skills challenges are great. That's why the NBA largely does well with its 3-point contest. Why they do well with their skills challenge. The dunk contest is always hit or miss, but at least it's interesting most years. But the Pro Bowl itself, the actual game, yeah, I'm not watching that. Why? For who? For what? I'm not watching that. Nobody gets tackled in that game in a way that significantly matters. The game is all offense entirely. There is no incentive for anybody to really try outside of that MVP award where you win the truck, I think, the truck or the car or whatever it is. And then they give you a bonus for winning. But, you know, I mean, if you're a quarterback, you're probably going to end up winning it. Or if you're a receiver, there's always going to be an offensive player. There's certainly no incentive if you're a defensive guy to show up in that game in any particular kind of way. And no one's trying to get injured in the Pro Bowl. Right? I think baseball has the best all-star game of the games because the game means something for a lot of the players, which is that if your team is in contention, you're playing for World Series home field advantage. And look, I don't think that's the best way to get people to try, but they did something. The Pro Bowl still has not gotten a very good way of getting people to show up to that game and actually try to play it. Like, no, I don't want to watch that. And the NBA, too. The NBA All-Star Game last year was garbage. Right? And the NBA All-Star Game is usually generally enjoyable, right? Like, nobody tries until the fourth quarter, unfortunately. But the game last year was garbage. Nobody tried even in the fourth quarter. And then, for whatever reason, they decided to give it to Anthony Davis because Chris Paul decided to throw Anthony Davis an alley-oop so he could win the MVP of the game in his home city because the game was in New Orleans. Yeah, man. I'm not okay with the cause. That game was bad. So the NBA is trying to change it up. They're going to do a playground-style draft where the two highest vote getters pick all the other players in the league, which that, to me, is awesome. The NBA has not said as to whether or not they are going to televise the draft. But what on earth are you talking about? Absolutely televise the draft. What are you doing? No, televise it. I want to see guys get bitter. I want to see the bitterness of the guy that is the last guy picked for this game. I want to see teammates get separated and find it to be funny. Right? I want people to try and I want to see LeBron try and draft all the Warriors. Would that not be funny to you? I think it'd be funny. I'd like to see LeBron draft Steph. I want to see these things happen. Okay? And I want to see it on TV. I want to read about it later. I don't want to read about how John Wall was actually really bitter because he didn't get picked as high as he thought he should have been picked. I don't want to read about that. I want that to be on TV. I want that to be absolutely televised. I want the trash talking to be picked up. I don't care if you have to delay it so you can bleep it out. I don't care. I want to see it. You do not get to hide that from me. That's literally the most interesting development in the history of All-Star games, which have been largely uninteresting for always. Right? Because you talk about all the All-Star games, the NHL All-Star game is kind of fun, except there's 11 goals scored on one side and 10 goals scored on the other side. So again, the no defense thing, it does feel weird to watch a bunch of guys not defend. Doesn't make any sense. It's not like you got a whole bunch of the best offensive guys. You also got the best defensive guys. It doesn't make any sense that guys don't defend. So I'm liking what the NBA is trying to do with this stuff. And then they'll always have the skills challenge. I like the U.S. versus the World Rising Stars challenge. I always think that that's fun. And that there's enough international players, and the international players are good enough that the world wins sometimes. But the world is usually very competitive in that basketball game, and they win sometimes. Like the NBA's gotten this thing kind of straightened out. The draft is an interesting development that I would like to see. They need to televise it. That's not optional if you want people to pay attention to that game. That's the most interesting part of the whole experience, is watching a bunch of bitter NBA players squabble over who they think is actually better. Yes, that is exactly what I want. Don't hide that from me. You don't have the right, NBA. I don't even know how you fix the Pro Bowl, though. Because the NHL All-Star Game is bad. Major League Baseball has it right, has the best All-Star Game of the bunch of them. Because you can end up with the pitcher's duel in a Major League Baseball All-Star Game, which I enjoy. Like, yeah, if I want to watch the home runs, I'll watch the home run derby the night before. What are you talking about? You could actually end up with a pitcher's duel in the All-Star game. So you've got highly competitive players going at it. It's fun. Absolutely. I don't think that NASCAR has it together, though. I don't know what the NASCAR All-Star weekend is like. They have one. The NASCAR All-Star weekend might be the only All-Star weekend more unwatchable than the Pro Bowl. Like, I actively don't want to watch the NASCAR one. The Pro Bowl is just not interesting. Like, I'm not going to take the time to watch it at all. I don't have it. I don't know what to do there. Like, I honestly can't figure out the point of that game. They've got to figure out a way to get these guys to try. Right? And the NFL tried the draft too. And the draft part was interesting, and they televised it, but they didn't let the players draft. Right? I believe it was Jerry Rice versus Deion Sanders, and they drafted. I want the players to draft. I want bitterness and resentment and anger. That's interesting. Watch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. You're on 92.7 FM. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. He's walked him off. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide to the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Here at live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4.
The voice of NASCAR.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news. Now,
Brewer found guilty on all 6 counts of vehicular homicide. It only took the jury 1 day to make a decision in the fate of Benjamin Brewer, the man who's accused of plowing into cars on I-75 at the Ottawa exit back in 2015. They heard the prosecution's arguments the day before yesterday, and they heard the defense's arguments yesterday. Now his fate is sealed. Benjamin Brewer found guilty on all 6 counts. Whitwell schools are back open, but the search is still on for robbery suspect Dwayne Halfacre, who's been added to the TBI's top 10 most wanted list. The Tennessee Highway Patrol and the TBI still searching for him. He was last spotted in a parking lot in Marion County, a large police presence at Marion County schools, just in case he shows up. Another sting at College Hill courts on Monday, 129 grams of marijuana, 6 grams of crack cocaine recovered. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold again overnight, lows near 30. For Friday, lots of sunshine, gorgeous day, a little warmer, highs near 60. More clouds, but still dry Saturday, back into the upper 50s. Some showers late Saturday night through Sunday morning. Out of the pressures and hassles of car shopping, comes to you while more people are making this short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette, or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm sourcing 12 sheet meteorologist Pat Report.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Gold, 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 and more gold. And always buy American. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll always get better rates than the banks. We'll convert your silver, diamonds, cash into gold, gold, gold. Precious American gold. Certified by the federal government. Buy American. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. 499-9162. Call 499-9162. And visit Rick at 5301 Greater Road, Chattanooga. Gold, 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 and more gold.
So you forgot something that sparkles, a little bit of bling for Christmas? Valentine's is just ahead, so now's your chance to get it right. And Goss Company Jewelers has got you covered. Diamond stud earrings, rings, hoops, necklaces. Go now while you're thinking about it. Let Charlie Goss wait on you. He'll take care of you. Problem solved. Custom diamond studs start at under $200. That's 30% off. Goss Company Jewelers behind Chili's on Gun Barrel. That's it. Goss Company Jewelers.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton with EJ Pelton Company. There are new tax changes for businesses. Smart business owners are talking to their accountant for tax strategies.
Take advantage of the tax credits and deductions available for higher education expenses. Requirements and restrictions are complex, so get the facts and guidance you need to obtain maximum savings.
This tax tip is provided by EJ Pelton Company, located on Dayton Pike, 332-3339, Brainerd Road, 622-3156.
If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted and you have to call this number, don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records. So why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop it. Call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888. That's 706-858-5888. Affordable Computers.
Chattanooga Morning News with Brooks and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio. 92.7 FM. Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! 340 coats. I'm up north.
WZHD 401, 224AZ Chattanooga.
92.7 Digital FM 95.3 HD4 Chattanooga.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Grasshopper.
I'm Pam Coulter. The plan would put 1.8 million dreamers on a path to citizenship, but new restrictions